Hey, what's up, everyone? Dan Frievalt here.
Perfect. Hey, now, okay, so in all seriousness, you are giving a program. These are all virtual this year for Imaging USA 2021. And I want you to tell me the name of your program. I have it here in front of me, but I want you to say it.
Oh, I actually had to look it up, so I make sure I said it. But it's like building a 100K business in a pandemic world.
Yes, it's that or something very close to that. But
Yeah,
that's essentially it. Now, the reason I wanted you to say it is because you kind of have this clickbaity title. And I fall for that stuff. I see clickbait type stuff all the time. I'm not saying it's a clickbait program, but that title sucked me right in. And I thought to myself, ooh, I want to know what that's about, right? Now, you can't give the whole program, obviously, but throw out a few other little trinkets and stuff to entice us and to want us to know even more. Because I'm the guy that clicks on the clickbait. Even when I know it's clickbait, I still click. I want to know what it is, right? So tell us a little bit about the 100K. You picked that number specifically, right?
I did because I think it's kind of a number, either when you're starting out or maybe been in business a few years. It's kind of the number you want to strive to.
It's the goal.
I'm not one. Yeah, it's the goal. And I'm not one to like kind of brag about stuff like that, but it's funny you mentioned it's kind of a clickbait title because when I go to conventions, especially imaging, and there's a lot of speakers, it's kind of like you kind of go off the title if you don't know the person.
Oh, of course.
And so I always suck at titles. So I'm like, I gotta up my title game. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Well, it's okay. You make a really good point, right? For one, there's lots of different options at conventions. Maybe one of the good things about this year and it being virtual, right, is that they're the playing field's a little bit leveled, right? In that these are recorded and you probably see all of them if you want to see all of them, despite the fact that they're still all being released in a schedule. But it's not like if I miss your program for somebody else's, I'm not going to really have access to yours in the same way that I would before. I can still come back and watch it. So I like that piece, but I am really intrigued by your title. Here's why I'm intrigued. I happen to know you personally, right? You said if you don't know the person, I know you, so I know that it's not merely a clickbaity title. I know that you back it up, like you live it, you do it. So I know you're not just throwing out something random. Right, so I have that advantage over a lot of people is that I happen to know who you are, and I know of your success, and I know that you actually you walk the talk, like you just don't just say these things. So, with that in mind, what sort of things do you dive into a little bit with this program?
Yeah, I dive into a lot, and that is one of my flaws, right? It's like, they give you a time, and when it was live, it was supposed to be like an hour and a half or something, and then virtual, they knocked it down to 45.
Right.
I'm like, no, I'm just going to still get everything in, I'll just talk faster. I want to get everything, and it's like, oh, so I like, as I got it all done, I'm like, man, I was speeding up at the end, but yeah, I mean, the title and the content, what I really wanted to do is like everyone strives for that goal, but also, we're all living in this same situation and it's still possible. I've known a lot of photographers that have done great this year. And it's the photographers that I think that are always looking, to improve or like doing a little something different, standing out from the crowd. So I cover all those things from standing out, from creating things that make you unique to the sales system that I do, because a lot of newer photographers coming in too are maybe a little intimidated by Photoshop or intimidated by in-person sales, whether that be virtual or actually in person, but just having, instead of just giving files out, just how to treat this like a business and how to, reach that level by doing these steps of imagery, marketing, model program, and sales system. So I kind of cover all those. I call them like the 3 pillars. There's much more pillars to get to that number, but I only have time to cover 3, and
Sure.
that was even tough.
Well, here's what I also find interesting about it. You included, the whole pandemic even in the title, right? Because there's, 100K, people have been talking about hitting 100K in all kinds of different scenarios for a long time. But you're speaking about, in a year like the pandemic specifically. So in other words, what I hear from your title is like, look, there's a lot of stuff going on right now. There's a lot of challenges that are unique, that are anomalous, and yet you can still do this. So I look at your title as kind of like a beacon of hope, almost like, despite everything going on, this can still happen. Here's what I'd like to know. A year ago, we didn't see any of this coming. So if you transport yourself back 1 year, mid-January 2020, nobody knew it was going to be the way that it was. So as it's occurring for you last year, what did you can you give me one thing that you started to do, or that you started to shift, or that you started to implement as a result, or kind of in reaction to the scenario, right?
Oh yeah, so just one, but we'll do one because we're gonna keep this short.
Just a taste, just a taste.
Just a taste.
Right.
And I'll preface this by saying that I took this, I started over in the photography industry like 8 years ago. And so I went through basically my own type of reboot, pivot, whatever buzzword everyone used when this pandemic hit. The difference for me is I was starting at the ground zero in a sense, and had to build up, and I felt like everyone was ahead of me, and I was striving trying to get ahead in the race when everyone had a jump start. So what I was stressing during the shutdown and everything is, okay, we're kind of all at that same level, like not even like worldwide. This is a worldwide pandemic, as we know. And so it's like work on a lot of different things, your SEO, focusing on your business, implementing things that maybe you kind of let slide over the years. So then when the starting gun goes off, we're all like, so where are you going to be?
Yep.
Now you're going to have a jump start on all your competition. So that's a broad answer, but just really focusing in. And what I learned when I started over is the more time I spent with the people who invested in me, the more they invested in me. It's always easy to go out and get, not easy. We think as business people, we got to get out, get new clients. But if we really, and we have the time now, so give your attention and your care to those who do believe in you, because it's much easier to sell to someone who already believes in you than trying to market and all that energy to get someone new into your ecosystem.
So, and maybe that was true even more than ever last year, right? So you essentially have found time. That's what I hear you saying. Last year specifically, we had this found time, and so you were using that time wisely, especially when the realization is that was what was really going on, because it didn't happen like in a day. It happened like over the course of a few weeks, where we start to realize, hey, this is a thing, and this is really going to affect our culture and our society in unprecedented ways. And so you started using that time to nurture relationships you already had.
Yes.
Rather than trying to go out fishing, so to speak, for all kinds of new clientele, you were using it to nurture the relationships you already had in business.
Correct. Nurturing nurturing the ones I already had. Now, I did do some marketing for new clients, but I also looked at that from the different mindset of, these people don't know me. So how can I get them to know me as well as possible virtually, so that they feel comfortable hiring me?
Well, that sounds like a huge, daunting, crazy, scary task.
Well, it does. And eventually, and like everything of my big ideas, I have all these big ideas. We're going to do all this video, and we're going to do all this. And really what it comes down to is it can be just as simple as something where you do an Instagram story every day, and which it takes me out of my comfort zone. But it's like, hey, this is what I'm doing today. Tell me what you like, what flavor ice cream do you like? This is what I like, especially for the senior market, which I specialize in. I mean, the seniors communicate so much through social media. So getting to know me personally, virtually,
Yeah.
is now their number one form of communication, and also
Right.
number one way that they pick who they feel comfortable with to take their
Right.
senior photos.
Right. And it's interesting that you bring up something as seemingly mundane as ice cream, and yet those are like the little things, right, that maybe cross those barriers and make those connections. So you're using stories and you're using reels and you're going out there and throwing out content that on your end you think, oh, this isn't really me. I don't really put myself out there very much. But it's not like you need this huge production. You can take your phone with you somewhere, or talk about something that to you seems like no big deal, but it's a way to communicate and put yourself out there for them to feel more, seniors specifically, to feel more comfortable, and that's how they get to know you, right?
It is. It's how they get to know me, and it's in it's a non-creep fashion is the way I call it.
Yeah. Right. That's a good way to put it too.
Yeah, because I've seen a lot of people have different techniques and stuff. I'm like, to me, it's a touchy situation. I'm a guy. They're 17-year-old.
Yeah.
Girls most likely.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
it's like, I don't want to just send a personal message.
Nope.
And one person put it this way. They're like, you date before you marry someone,
Sure.
right?
Right.
So if you just send a message and be like, hey, would you like to come in for senior pictures? It's kind of like, whoa, that's like, you're asking them to marry.
Right. Hey, back off.
Back out, yeah. But it's like, hey, do you want to go for ice cream?
Right.
Which that sounds creepy if I say it that way too.
Well, but I mean, you're not
you
even
get the
saying that.
analogy.
You're saying this is the type of ice cream that I like. What do you like? To use that example, and you're putting yourself out there, and then they're kind of on their own terms, like how they choose to engage, right? And you're putting it out there to who knows how many people. I mean, anyone has access to it potentially. So you're not singling anybody out. You're not like going after anybody specifically. You're putting yourself out there, and then whoever chooses to engage, then you have that potential client there that then might lead to, eventually a huge sale, hopefully, obviously, but even an ongoing relationship where it's like, now I'm, you see that I'm a person that you want to do business with, or that you want to give your business to, and that leads them to what, your website and all the different things that they can, the options that they know they have, and they're like, hey, this guy actually does really, really good work. I want to go to him for senior portraits.
Exactly. And, I study with a lot of people who do online marketing. And so they're always stressing the like, no trust factor.
No trust.
We as photographers, we've used to in-person things. So you instantly build that like, no trust factor. But with the shutdown, you lost a lot of that. So if you can get on your phone and just be like, hey, I did like a story I did, for instance, it's like, what do you do if it rains? Well, so I did a little story like, okay, so, and it was funny because we had this storm roll through, and like this side was like all sunny, right? We've seen this, and then we turn the phone this way and it's just black.
Right.
So
welcome to the Midwest.
Yeah, sometimes we have days, I would say the Midwest, sometimes we have days like this and it's sunny and your session's going to be great, but what if this happens and I roll around?
And you're just able to turn and show the monster in the sky, right? I love it.
Here it comes, so just letting them know, like, we're just going to reschedule, or for clothing tips, or behind the scenes shooting. Those are always good. Or editing, like, here's a before and after, or here's a time lapse of me. Here, I'm putting this work into your images. So then when you put them out there, that's your brand. Seniors are big on their brand. So they want to make sure they don't look over retouched. So you're just highlighting your everyday thing, which seems boring to us, but to them, they're getting to like, know, and trust you.
I like that, like, know, and trust. Let me ask you this one last question. As you do this, because I'm in the same boat. It doesn't come very naturally for me to just put myself out there. And if I was in your position, that would be a difficult thing for me to do. But I see the wisdom in it. I think what is the necessity of it, especially right now. As you do it, and as you push yourself to do it more and more and more, does it get easier? Like, for you psychologically or emotionally, is it like this, it's not as hard now as it was when I started? You're started getting used to it and you're more comfortable with it, or not?
Oh, I'm still uncomfortable with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What makes it easy is in the summer when I have an assistant and she just throws the phone up. The main key I can give, the main tip I can give with any of this is don't overthink it. I overthink it and it drives you nuts. Seniors don't want a polished thing anyways. So when she just throws the phone up and we're like, hey, today we're photographing Haley. She's got these cool outfits. We're going to go on location and some urban stuff, and she's going to incorporate some sports stuff. And all of a sudden I messed up whatever. We just keep rolling. I laugh like they stumbled over her name. I'm like, wait, you know?
Yeah.
But if I have the phone and I can see myself and I'm doing that,
Yeah.
I'm doing it like 3-4 times. When she does it, boom, it's done.
One take.
So, one take, no matter how it turns out, we're done. And and she's like, that's good.
I love it.
It's like, maybe do the mindset, you only get just one take.
You get that one shot and just do it. That's fantastic. Yeah. When does your program go live? Do you know?
Well, I do know. January, I got my calendar here. I'll just make sure I get the date exactly right. Because yes, January 18th. And it is 3:00 Eastern time. This is kind of a question though, because they didn't have Eastern or Central on the website. So I just sent a message today to them. I'm assuming everything is in Eastern.
I would guess it's Eastern. They're Eastern, right? So Atlanta's Eastern. Yeah. So 3:00 Monday, the 18th.
Let me take that back. So 3:00 my time, which is Central. So on the website, it's 4:00.
Oh, 4:00. 4:00 Eastern, 3:00 Central. 4:00. On Monday, the 18th, Imaging USA 2021 virtual this year. Hey, bud, I appreciate you doing this with me. That was a really nice little teaser for your program.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me, and thanks White House Custom Color for sponsoring me. And I will be, even though it's recorded, I'll be there live. You can ask me questions afterwards. They have a Q&A
questions, right?
Afterwards. Yes.
Right. Well, thank you for joining me today, brother, and have a very good rest of the week until Imaging debuts next Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday.
Yes. Thanks.
All right. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Hey, guys. Thanks for watching this conversation presented by White House Custom Color on YouTube. Be sure to check out our other content and click that subscribe button right there. Right. Right there. It's there somewhere.